Thanks for joining us for your 5 News Plus Weekend Wrap. I'm Emily Maas. We continue to learn more about an incident at a Sallisaw school this week that is currently under investigation. Now, we're hearing from the mother of the alleged victim, who has asked us not to show her face or use her name. 5 News reporter Bo Russell has more.
This past Tuesday, a mother who wishes to go by the name Beth got a phone call from Eastside Elementary. The school told her there had been an incident involving her son.
When I got there, they had told me that my son had been penetrated on the playground.
Beth says after hearing what had happened, she broke down.
I just bawled, I just cried. There's nothing that can make it right. I mean, I was sick to my stomach, I cried, and I wanted my son.
I asked her where her son was taken after the alleged incident.
They put him back in class.
After taking her son to a children's safe haven advocacy group, Beth immediately removed her son from Eastside Elementary, but says the school isn't doing enough to address the problem.
Their response is that as of right now, these boys are suspended for 5 days. Could be longer pending the criminal investigation, but I just feel 5 days is not long enough.
Beth says that since she reached out to local news, more parents at the school are coming forward.
After we come to light about what happened to my son a week or so ago, I guess it happened to a little girl, a girl in the same building, and she didn't come public till I did. So who's to say this hasn't happened other times?
She says her concern now is a lack of accountability at the school.
If I didn't come public about it, nobody would have known anything. It would have just been a police report, the 5-day suspension, and that'd have been it.
Sallisaw police say this matter is being handled by school police. Sallisaw Public School Superintendent tells me that they are following all the correct protocols and will not release any information until a criminal investigation is completed.
I was asked if I wanted to pursue criminal charges, and I said yes. It was some boys who thought they was big and bad, and they took his innocence away.
I'm Bo Russell, 5 News.
Beth says she's still waiting on more information from law enforcement. In the meantime, she says her son is now enrolled in a new school where he's in class with his sister. The University of Arkansas police say they're seeing an uptick in reports of sexual extortion. University of Arkansas police say 4 reports have been filed by students since September 27th. As Claire Everbach reports, the assistant chief says he fears these numbers will continue to climb.
Sexual extortion, also known as sextortion, is a crime involving blackmail with sexually compromising material.
Basically, someone receives an email stating that if you don't pay them X amount of money, they're going to release compromising photographs of you on the internet.
Assistant Police Chief Matt Mills says in many cases, these photos don't even exist.
A lot of times it's just deceit, and only really the person who receives the email knows whether those photos exist or not.
As the world becomes more digital, Mills says the problem will only grow.
We have seen an uptick over the last couple of years in these cases. I would say that with the advent of AI and the progression of AI, it could pose future problems for us with the ease of being able to create information rather than actually have a true or realistic photo.
Taylor McKinney with the NWA Center for Sexual Assault says abuse is not just physical.
Sexual abuse and sexual harassment come in many forms, and if you're not sure if what you experienced is sexual assault, please call us.
In cases involving digital assault, McKinney says help is especially important.
If you are stuck in this feeling of being alone in what you're experiencing because it's not happening with a physical person, but it's happening online digitally, you even more so need that human connection to find healing.
A massage therapist from Barling is facing new sexual assault charges after a 3rd client has come forward. We told you when 51-year-old Raymond Graham was arrested in September after 2 clients claimed they were assaulted during massages at Inner Peace Body Studio in Fort Smith. A 3rd victim says Graham assaulted them in November of last year. Graham pleaded not guilty and is now facing 3 felony charges and 2 civil lawsuits. His massage license has been suspended and the studio is facing legal action. The jury trial for the man who escaped from an Arkansas correctional facility will now be next year. Convicted murderer and rapist Grant Hardin escaped from the North Central unit at Calico Rock in May. He was set to appear in court next week, but that's been pushed back to December. And his jury trial was also set for next month, but is now pushed to February. A new lawsuit filed in Little Rock by a former state employee is raising questions about the limits of free speech protections for government workers. Lana Joy Gray, a former Arkansas Department of Health employee, is suing the state after being fired for social media comments regarding the death of Charlie Kirk. This places Arkansas squarely in the middle of a national debate over First Amendment rights and government censorship. 5 News reporter Bo Russell has more.
If your employer is the government, or any government entity, or stationed through the government, that's when it gets tricky, because that is specifically what the First Amendment is to protect the government trying to censor any kind of free speech.
Lana Gray is claiming her termination from the ADH was unconstitutional retaliation for online comments on Charlie Kirk, and she isn't the only one facing backlash for sharing opinions. Just recently, Jimmy Kimmel made headlines after being taken off the air before he could comment on Kirk.
I couldn't say anything. I just had to sit quiet.
This censorship of Kimmel raises concerns for legal experts.
There was no problem with ABC firing him. They are a private company. The problem with that was when the FCC chair, who is a government entity, is trying to filter him for his political speech. That was the problem.
Rose is referring to the Federal Communications Commission chair, Brendan Carr, who has been alleged to have pressured networks into censoring their content.
Look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead.
Back here in Arkansas, Fort Smith Board of Directors member Andre Good faced criticism recently after his decision to step out during a moment of silence for Kirk in September. However, on Tuesday, he was met with a different response.
I want to say thank you folks for being here, not only in support of me, but in support of all of our rights. Thank you.
Returning to the lawsuit filed in Little Rock today, attorney Adam Rose says this could be a complicated case.
To me, that sounds like a court case. That sounds like a court case because, again, she is a government employee, so being able to speak your political views, your political opinions, no matter how bad they are or what they are, you're supposed to be allowed to have that ability to do so.
The Arkansas Highway Police seized around 3,000 pounds of illegal marijuana from a commercial vehicle on I-40 in Crawford County. The officers found it during a routine safety inspection, hidden on 6 pallets in between a load of pool tables. The driver, 43-year-old Steve Williams, was arrested and booked into Crawford County Detention Center. He is believed to be traveling from California to Florida. Williams now faces intent to deliver and firearm possession charges. Construction on the addition to the Washington County Jail is more than halfway finished. Leaders say the expansion is improving public safety. It's called the Washington County Mitigation Project. As 5 News reporter Laura Castleman reports, it's not so much of an expansion as it is about growth, allowing for safe areas for the sick and more room for the in-jail medical team to operate.
To what was formerly our minimum security work release, and this building will mirror that a lot.
It's been a project a couple of years in the making, adding to the jail to help with overcrowding and a space for those who fall ill. It's dubbed the COVID Mitigation Project due to COVID relief money funding the addition.
There was no Washington County tax money used in this project. This was grant money from the federal government.
The idea to grow came from the procedures the jail developed during the COVID pandemic. Some procedures they still have in place.
What we've touched is our medical unit, our booking and release. Those are areas that while the COVID pandemic's in our rear view mirror, the jail operates underneath that every day with contagions.
Judge Deacon says this added space will allow them to operate at capacity and be able to separate healthy inmates from sick ones.
How can we open up, get more space, be able to quarantine detainees in a more effective and safe manner, and then also get back an operational facility.
Judge Deacon says it isn't about incarcerating more people, it's about treating detainees as humans.
We'll invest in people and do alternatives to justice, but if you've transgressed the law or affected a taxpayer in a negative way, we want accountability, and this is what this project represents.
Judge Deacon says the COVID mitigation project will hopefully be finished by next spring. We're learning more about the group behind the 10 Commandments displays now required at the University of Arkansas. The donation of nearly 500 posters was made by an organization called Counteract USA. As 5 News reporter Bo Russell reports, the group has ties to conservative student movements across the country, and the latest donation is drawing criticism from national advocacy organizations.
Same people who are crying woke ideology on one side of the spectrum are the same ones that are indoctrinating students by forcing the Ten Commandments into public spaces.
Arkansas Act 573, which was passed earlier this year, forces the University of Arkansas to display the Ten Commandments in all its classrooms now that they've received this large donation of posters, almost 500 of them.
It's really, at this point, you have our legislators who have enacted bills that we find unconstitutional.
Chris Sweeney with the Freedom from Religion Foundation has been fighting this bill in federal court since it passed.
Our pathway is really by way of the judiciary, which up to this point has been favorable. We have decades of precedent behind us, and we're leaning into that.
However, Sweeney says that this new development at the university is cause for concern and that the federal government shutdown may have played a timely role.
The guardrails of separation between church and state are certainly sidelined right now, and that is a concern of ours. Separation between church and state is protected at a federal level.
Counteract USA says on their website that their founder is Abigail Desjarnais, a former U of A student who is vice president of the university's Turning Point USA chapter. I asked Sweeney if Counteract's involvement at the U of A could be a precursor for other universities in the area.
We know organizations that like Turning Point or Counteract, who are active on other campuses, are following model legislation that they're trying to replicate at other campuses.
I spoke with students on Thursday when the decision was announced.
Wait, that's actually happening?
That's real? At a state public university?
I think it's a good thing, honestly.
Okay, why?
Well,
Turning Point USA's chapter at the U of A says they have nothing to add. Counteract USA's founder, Abigail Desjarnais, sent a statement to 5 News. It reads, "This is Arkansas law, and any opportunity we get to remind University of Arkansas students that there is right and wrong and meaning and purpose in the world, that there's a God who sees them, knows them, and loves them, we're going to take it." Continuing coverage of the special election fight in Arkansas Senate District 26. A voter is looking to force Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders to hold the election earlier so the district can have a say in the Franklin County prison discussions. But the current election dates to fill late Senator Gary Stubblefield's seat prevents it from happening. Catherine Rowley reports the judge in the lawsuit has to figure out who has the say by law when it comes to special elections.
The discretion's simply not there. In the Constitution, it says she shall issue a writ of election. It doesn't say she can pick the dates. It doesn't say she can put it out as far as she wants.
That's attorney Jennifer Standiford, the lawyer for Colt Shelby. She's pointing to the state law that tries to spell out the process when a member of the legislature dies in office. Arkansas Code says that a governor should act quickly within at least 150 days unless holding a special election is, quote, impractical or burdensome. To those opposed to the Franklin County prison, the governor is taking those exceptions way too far.
150 days is 150 days, and with no good reason, trying to say it saves $20,000, that's $5,000 per county if you really want to look at it. It's really ridiculous. I mean, to even go out 14 months originally and not have representation, it's just stealing representation from those people.
State Senator Brian King says regardless of how he feels about the prison, leaving his colleague's seat open through the next year's fiscal session just isn't right.
In reality, what is being transpired, the real reason is about impacting the budget session, billions of dollars. These, won't have representation on education issues, any issue at all.
Shelby's lawsuit points out that the timeline the governor set out doesn't match other more recent vacancies, including during Republican administrations.
And let's get it up there under 150, just like Asa Hutchinson did it. I looked at the time frame. I looked up the Lance Eads, which was in 2021. If Lance Eads and Asa Hutchinson could make this happen and get representation for District 7, I don't see why District 26 can't get the same.
Attorney General Tim Griffin is defending the timeline, saying Shelby's case should be dismissed. They say that the law does give the governor discretion if she thinks holding a small election weeks before a bigger one is too expensive. But Shelby and Standiford argue the timeline right now violates fundamental voting rights.
And the reason is, this is something that's in the Constitution. It's for the people. We are the voice. This is Arkansas. This isn't Washington, D.C. We don't have a communist state. It's democracy.
Asking for is just for the court to enforce the law, just for the court to consider the constitutional rights of the voters, to consider that the law itself requires that these be expedited and moved up.
Judge Patricia James did not make a ruling on Wednesday, despite Shelby's calls to expedite the case. Among the witnesses who testified were local election officials, who said they could get an entire special election wrapped up before next April, but the clock is ticking. Oklahoma's appointed state superintendent is putting a stop to the plan for Bibles to be placed in Oklahoma classrooms. It's just one of several initiatives launched by former state superintendent Ryan Walters that Lindo Fields says he's reversing. Fields said his plan includes filing a motion to dismiss an ongoing legal battle over the issue and has no plans to distribute Bibles or a biblical character education curriculum in classrooms. The Oklahoma Supreme Court ordered Fields to determine if the classroom Bible mandate would continue under his leadership. He was given a deadline of October 28th. OSDE is reviewing all prior mandates and says the board's top priority is a full budget review. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is canceling its long-running report that tracks hunger across the country. The Household Food Security Report often ranked Arkansas among the hungriest states. 5 News reporter Claire Everbach talked to local organizations about why this is an ongoing struggle in Arkansas.
According to the USDA, Arkansas is the most food insecure state in America. I talked to local food pantries today who say this problem is worse than ever.
Kent Eikenberry, president of the Northwest Arkansas Food Bank, says the worry of having enough to eat is more common than people realize.
And I promise you, you know somebody who's food insecure. You know somebody who's food insecure. I know somebody who's food insecure.
And even though the USDA's Household Food Security Report is ending, Eikenberry says this issue is more present than ever.
Just because the USDA is no longer going to report food insecurity, it's not automatically going to go away.
He says one of the biggest factors is inflation.
People are working and making what used to be a good wage, and it's not enough now to pay all the bills and still buy food.
Organizations like Feed 479 with Cross Church help those who are food insecure. Executive Director Jeff Pearson says the free pantry is designed to feel like a grocery store where families can select foods they enjoy.
They get to choose their produce, get to choose their shelf staple items, they get to choose their desserts, their breads, proteins, and they can do it based on the needs and the preferences of their family.
Pearson says the need for these pantries continues to grow.
We've seen a large uptick in the number of people that are needing food, seeking food, trying to find a way to bridge the gap between their need and providing for their families. So, we're continuing to see an increase.
And even small donations can make a big difference.
$20 a month gifts feeds a family of 4 for 10 days. So you can make a big difference with something that costs less than a cup of coffee a day.
The final USDA Household Food Security Report is expected October 22nd. In Lowell, covering news where you live, Claire Everbach, 5 News.
The government shutdown could soon impact how families put food on the table. Arkansas is the most food insecure state in the country. Food banks are preparing for what's next. 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer went to a town hall Wednesday night where leaders say more help is needed.
People are hungry, and I don't think people realize how many people here are hungry.
It's a reality hitting harder in Arkansas than anywhere else. County leaders say nearly 20% of Sebastian County residents and 1 in 4 children are unsure where their next meal will come from.
Our battle here to help fight against it is just get the food in to help get to the neighbors in need.
The River Valley Regional Food Bank is on the front lines, supplying 140 pantries across 8 counties. They say with the federal government shutdown and uncertainty around SNAP benefits, the food bank is preparing for what could be another wave of need.
We have reached out to Feeding America to get some extra food shipped into here. That way we can help supply our pantries better.
So we're not giving a handout, we're giving a hand up.
At a town hall Wednesday night, organizations talked about how hunger is impacting the community and how they can stop it.
Our motto is, if you're hungry, we're going to get you some food.
It's that simple message driving community efforts across the River Valley, including the work of David Phillips, who helps lead Antioch for Youth and Family and St. John's Sack Lunch program.
764,000 pounds of food that we at Antioch have given out. We got 1 million meals now at Sack Lunch.
Phillips says behind those numbers are people, neighbors you might see every day.
We've got well over 40% that are over 50 years old, male and employed, and they've got a family and they need food because they can't make ends meet.
In Fort Smith, covering news where you live, Lauren Spencer, 5 News.
Both organizations say the community can help by donating food, funds, or volunteer hours, and every effort makes a difference. On top of that, concerns are growing here at home about what the shutdown could mean for SNAP benefits next month. Lauren Spencer shows us why advocates say the impact could be serious for families across the state.
Everyone who's eligible for October benefits will receive those benefits. November is questionable depending on how long the shutdown goes.
Questionable. That's how the Arkansas Department of Human Services describes the outlook for SNAP benefits come November. Right now, more than 222,000 Arkansans rely on the program.
So SNAP becomes a really critical program to ensure that children and families, including seniors, veterans, people with disabilities, have access to critical food assistance to make sure that they're getting nutritious food for all of their meals.
Kristen Harper, Policy Director for Arkansas Advocates for Children and Families, says losing SNAP, even for a short time, would be a big deal for a state already struggling with hunger.
Arkansas is actually the most food insecure state in the nation. We have a food insecurity rate at 18.9% compared to 13.5% nationally.
DHS says if funding runs out, they'll encourage people to turn to local food pantries and programs, but advocates warn those resources could quickly be stretched thin.
Going to see food banks potentially become overwhelmed with requests that they can't necessarily meet.
Harper says she's urging Arkansans to reach out to lawmakers to end the shutdown and protect programs that help families afford food and health care.
Many of the families who access SNAP, they have children in those families. Our SNAP program, they have very strict working requirements and things like that. So most people who are accessing SNAP are working.
Covering news where you live, Lauren Spencer, 5 News.
DHS stated between October of last year and August of this year, over 156,000 applications for SNAP benefits have been approved. As problems in Arkansas continue with struggling farmers and food insecurity, there is a new technique being introduced that could help tackle both. It's called vertical farming and comes from a company called 180 Pipe. The company's vice president says the system saves space, and since the plants don't touch each other, time with faster growing time and the ability to farm almost anywhere. He says it could be a game changer in the fight against food insecurity.
Allows to grow the plants slightly faster because they're not competing for resources at the root level. We don't use any LEDs. We use light diffusion technology along with different lighting on the paint that allows it to reflect back to the plants.
One criticism of vertical farming is that it's hard to use natural light, but Campos says 180 Pipe's electric bill stays small because of how the operation works, and they recycle the water. The Arkansas Farm Bureau's website says the practice can get expensive due to the need for artificial light and temperature control, but also gives positives, like the fact that farmers can grow year-round regardless of weather. Nonprofits are bearing some of the weight of the funding fight. Helping Hand of Greater Little Rock is an organization serving families in the historic Marshall Square District and beyond in central Arkansas. Executive Director Margaret Douglas says because of the shutdown, they now have to cut back on donations, including rent and groceries. For many families, that means making tougher choices.
They didn't have anything right now. You know how late it is when we got up here? It's about 10 o'clock, after 10 when we got here.
I have my seniors that call, and it's heartbreaking for me to I'm constantly saying no.
Douglas explained that she's worried the shutdown will also impact how they donate around the holidays. The Arkansas Department of Transportation says efforts to improve work zone safety on highways are paying off, and now they're looking to help a neighboring state do the same. 5 News reporter Jacob Luthi gives us a look at the technology making those safer roads possible.
If you've been on I-49 through Fayetteville lately, you may have seen the barrels, the backups, and the building. But you may have also noticed something else. Signs warning drivers that speed enforcement cameras are watching.
It's just been a game changer.
The Arkansas Department of Transportation says the cameras have helped reduce crashes by 25 to 30%. As for enforcement, it's all handled by Arkansas Highway Police. Officers monitor violations in real time from computers inside their cruisers. If a driver is speeding through the zone, they'll know right away, and they may be pulled over at the end of the work zone and issued either a warning or a ticket.
Working towards 0 deaths, 0 crashes. The reality is those things are going to happen, but technology like this is going to help us to keep pushing those numbers downward.
Approved by Arkansas lawmakers in 2023, the cameras are now active in 5 work zones across the state. RDOT is now sharing its success with neighboring states, looking to do the same.
The relationship that we have with RDOT in Arkansas from the Oklahoma standpoint is outstanding. We're going to follow Arkansas's model very closely and again start to talk with our legislature about the criticality and the ability to reduce crashes in the work zones.
Tim Gatz, the director of the Oklahoma Department of Transportation, says the department has lost 2 men in the last year in crashes. He says new technology and awareness from everyone can help make the roads safer. And RDOT Director Jared Wiley says they hope other states follow their lead.
Arkansas is leading the nation in this technology, and it's something we're very proud of.
In Fayetteville, covering news where you live, Jacob Luthi, 5 News.
Bella Vista is planning to build a new water tower to help support the ongoing growth in the area. Director of Water for the Bella Vista Property Owners Association says they've got the green light to move forward with the plan to build a more than 500,000-gallon water tank. 5 News reporter Laura Castleman has more.
Demand for another tower in Bella Vista is growing as more people move into town. The Benton County Planning Board just voted unanimously to build a new one near I-49 near Rockdale Hollow Road.
We've seen a lot of new residential growth along our west side of our system, and our master plan called out that we need additional water storage on our west side.
Holt says the new water tower will not only help with capacity, but it'll help support the potential for even more growth.
We'll continue to see strong residential home growth as, Bella Vista is somewhat a bedroom community to Bentonville and Rogers.
But I'm for anything that improves Bella Vista.
Roxanne Hipwell has lived in Bella Vista for the last 6 years. She says her water pressure varies from room to room.
It's really good in one bathroom and not quite the same in the other.
She understands the area will grow, but that means they need the amenities to change too, to sustain the influx of people who move to town.
People are starting to move into Bella Vista because of the price of the housing. It's called growth. It's called change, and it's called growth.
Holt says they need additional water storage on the Bella Vista's west side, something this new water tower will help provide, plus more.
It will allow us to have the capacity to support the future growth on the west side, for decades to come.
Holt says they are hoping to bid for construction of the new water tank by early next year. Well, thank you so much for watching the 5 News Plus Weekend Wrap. While you're here on 5 News Plus, you can check out all the latest newscasts and weather impact forecasts on demand, along with all of our other original content from the 5 News team. Have a great weekend.